What's up YouTube, Jamie the Kid 00 here, coming at you guys with another tournament diary. And again, I do have to apologise because it's boring old Mermail. I told you guys in my wind-up deck profile I was probably going to play wind-ups, and I tested them on Wednesday, lost my nerve. I ended up going back to really basic Mermail without any Cosmo Blazer stuff in the main deck whatsoever. And I really liked the way this tested it. It played a lot more consistently. There were a lot less combos, and it was just really basic, simple, reliable play, and I think simple and reliable was the best way to go. To talk about the event, I ended up going technically 4-0-1, drawing in the final round. We ended up splitting in the final round. We played it out to see who had won. It was a Mermail mirror match, and I got absolutely smashed through a combination of him opening far more busted than me game 1, and then game 2 I got virus turn 1, so it happens. For matchups, I can't actually remember my matchups at this point, so I am just going to go straight through the deck and tell you guys what I ran and why I ran it, and then I'll try and talk about matchups towards the end, and then if I don't talk about them, they'll be in the description below. Either way, let's get into the list. So to start off with, we played the one Moolan Glacier. It's a standard in this deck. This is basically Undine Mermails. So Moolan Glacier is a staple for Undine Mermails. It's really consistent in Undine Mermails. Then I played the triple Megalo. There are no other big mer monsters in this deck. It's just 3 Megalo. There are no leads, nothing like that. Just the 3 Megalos to keep reliability going, and it was pretty good. Megalo was all I needed. There were quite a few occasions where I'd have Megalo and a sphere face down. I'd activate the sphere to get the second Megalo and abuse Big Eye that way. So I did have to minus into Big Eye a few times, but ultimately I preferred not drawing lead dead, because there were controllers in this already. I didn't want to draw more dead stuff. Then I played 3 copies of Abyss Lind. Still feel the need for 3. They were never really dead. I just drew them a bit. Drawing them was fine because I drew them early game, but I'd rather still have the 2, because testing on Dueling Network so many times I'd open 1 or open 2 and all my spheres would be dead. So I like having the luxury of playing the 3. If you draw 1, your spheres are still alive. Then I played double Abyss Pike. I'm considering bumping this to 3, because a friend of mine who played a similar build to me played 3 of these today. He said it was much more consistent, and sometimes I found myself without one when I wanted one. But, well. That was the Mermails. Basically just standard Mermail stuff. None of that mono Mermail tripe. Then I played 3 copies of Dragoons. We're talking about the Atlanteans now. 3 copies of Atlantean Marksman. 2 copies of Heavy Infantry, and that was our Atlanteans. The most standard Atlantean lineup you'll ever see. Then I played 3 copies of Diva. Basically, Diva is just so good. I don't see why you wouldn't play it. And again, I went back to focusing on the old 8k OTK, which I got off quite a few times today, so Diva Megalo wins games. Then I played 3 copies of Genix Undine. I'm kind of glad to be back on Undine. Undine is really reliable. Puts in so much work. Yes, you do draw controllers dead, and I opened controller more times than I care to admit, but I found that siding one Undine out when I side decked was a really efficient system, and I really enjoyed it because it's searchable by Pike anyway. So it really wasn't that much of a problem, and I opened it as much as I liked to open it, so I'm happy with siding one out, and drawing the controllers wasn't that bad. The controllers were pretty consistent. Double controller, I summoned these a few times to synchro with, and I got in a few direct pokes with this when it was a grind game, but otherwise, nothing to really report there. Then for the final 2 monsters, I played double Tragodia. Tragodia, I've never actually really played in this deck. I've never got around to testing it, and after playing it today, it was so consistent. And I also played it because I was maxing out on a little something in the side deck, which we'll talk about in a bit. So, Tragodia was good. Tragodia was really good. I didn't draw it that often, but when I did draw it, it put in so much work. Absolute powerhouse. Really glad I played it. Then for the spells, played 1 Reborn, 1 Dark Hole, 1 Storm, 1 Allure of Darkness, 1 Avarice, 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. For the first time ever, I've actually been main decking Mystical Space Typhoons because I really needed to. I managed to find the room for it now that I've cut all the big unnecessary stuff, and it was really worth playing. I might even choose to bump it up to 3 next time I play this deck, but 2 MST in the main was definitely really a good choice. Then I played double Salvage to round off the spells. In relation to dropping down from 3, I guess this was okay. There were a few times where I would have liked to have it, but at the same time, there were occasions where I drew 2 just completely dead, so I don't know, salvage was good and bad. Then for the traps, played 3 copies of Abyssphere. Nothing to really report there, just really, really good trap. 2 copies of Torrential Tribute, because Torrential is boss, and a certain Joe Pontari knows that everyone loses to Torrential Tribute, because Torrential is ridiculous. And then I played the 1 Mirror Force. I didn't feel the need for any more than that today, because I felt that if they saw the 1, they'd be wary of the 2nd, and I sided it out a lot. A lot of games where if I activated it in the first game, they'd seen it, they'd play around it, so I just sided it out completely and just bluffed it. Then for the extra deck, we played the Bluffing Gauze token, Armory Arm, and Hyper Librarian for the Armory Arm Hyper Librarian combo. Literally the night before the tournament, I was considering taking this out, and my opponent had a Dark Arm Dragon play on board, and I would have lost if I couldn't have made this play, so I'm kind of glad I played those 2. Catastor. It's Catastor, and Catastor is good. Dularan. I got mad advantage plays with this, but I still lost that game, sadly. Gungnir. This managed to win me a game in time against an Asian player who was really bearing down on me. Next turn, he easily would have won. And I managed to kind of think my way out and made a play with this. He had a face-down monster and 2 face-up monsters, so I pitched a Marksman and another monster to kill his 2 face-ups, and then Marksman, then face-down. Managed to just poke for the last damage I needed to do. But that game was so horribly close, and I hated it. I hated every moment of it. Scrap Dragon, because Scrap Dragon is Scrap Dragon is Scrap Dragon. Mistworm, because it's Mistworm. Gachi, Zen Mains, Leviathan Dragon. I went back to Zen Mains because I was playing Undines, and I make it a lot with Undine controller, so Zen Mains was worth playing. Leviathan. Abyss Trite and Bahamut Shark. I got this play off quite a lot today, but like it generated some advantage. It's not as good because this deck doesn't play Teus, but sorry, it doesn't play Lead, but well. Abyss Dweller, I use this quite a few times to like pump up my monsters on board, just to make like Megalo 2/9 and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. And then I played 1 Big Eye. This card was like MVP of the day. I made Big Eye so many times and stole so many fun things. I stole BLS's, all sorts of stuff. So Big Eye was good. And then finally my last monster was Abyss Gaius, which I only made once, and it got Darkhold, I think. No, I got Heavy Infantry, which was sad times. So that was the extra. Onto the side. The side deck was Lost Blue Raker. I sided this in, but I never saw it. No, I saw it once and I ditched it off of Megalo. It was a good card in theory, but I don't know, I might start cutting it from the side deck. I do need to find more room, so well. Double Maxi. I drew this, but I never used it, so I set it in a few times, but it was okay. It probably could have been better, but I'm still going to keep the Maxis in. The 1 MST, this should be mained now, so it's probably going to go into the main now. The 1 Mind Crush, I never sided this in. I might cut it. I'm not a massive fan of Mind Crush myself. I know it's a really good card, but I didn't see the benefit in it myself. Then I played Double Deck Devastation Virus. This was an interesting card. I thought they'd give me a massive edge in the mirror match and against any decks that are really small. And against the Inzektor player I played, I think round 4, it was insane. Like, the amount of stuff it ripped out of his hand. He activated Fissure on me, summoned Dragonfly, and I showed him the deck dev. I opened this and Diva, so I went straight into Hyper Librarian and set this. And he went Fissure, summon Dragonfly, and I activated deck dev. And he showed me his hand of Hornet, and I instantly banished the Dragonfly and his Hornet. So I was like, that is game right there. So that was horrible, and I'm sorry to that Inzektor player, but such is Yu-Gi-Oh! Then I played double Iron Wall. These went in against my friend Joe, who's playing Koa'ki Meiru OTK, because I noticed his deck was full of D prisons and bottomlesses, and I thought, and he was going to side in Fissures, so I thought Iron Wall would really wreck that, and it did. He showed me his back row at the end of the game, and it was just Fissures, prisons and bottomlesses. So Iron Wall was good. So I did in double Shadow Imprisoning Mirror for the Dark World for the Dark World match, and I never came up against any Dark World players, so they were kind of dead, but well. I played double Dust Tornado because I needed to bump up the back row removal. And then the most interesting card in the side deck, I feel, double breakthrough skill. I sided these for any decks that were really heavy on their effects. So this would have come in handy against Fire Fist if I would have played against any Fire Fist. I ended up siding it in for the Agent matchup. Because I noticed he was playing Reapers and he made Zen mains a hell of a lot. The Agent matchup, the Inzektor matchup, and the Koa'ki Meiru matchup. And I didn't see them in any matchups except the Agent matchup, in which case it managed to get me game the turn that my opponent had when I was in time, and he had I made the Gungnir play. One of his monsters was the Zen mains, and I managed to break through skill his Zen mains, and then do a Gungnir play to push for game. Either way, that was the complete deck. The matchups that I played, I can now actually remember. I played against Nordics round 1 and 2 of that. It was a friend of mine who was very, very, very good with Nordics. He's constantly testing a lot of different builds, but Nordics are ultimately a really slow deck, so Mermail was able to outspeed it. Then round 2, I ended up playing against my good friend Joe, who is Uzumaki Kunai on YouTube. He was playing his Koa'ki Meiru OTK, which was a very interesting deck actually, and it put me in quite a few tough spots. And I believe I lost game 2, and then I managed to win out game 3 with Iron Wall, just Iron Wall being absolutely boss. Round 3, I've actually forgotten my game. Round 4, I ended up going up against Inzektors, and that was kind of awkward. Game 1, he ended up just dropping Dark Armed on me really quick and dealing a lot of damage really, really fast, so that was horrible. Then games 2 and 3, I managed to play out of it, and then for the final round, I ended up playing off against Mermails, and we settled, and I lost 2-0 regardless, but it ended up grabbing me 2nd place, and I managed to pull Pyro X. That was happy times. But otherwise, sorry to whoever I've forgotten in round 3. I will post it in the description below. But otherwise, I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys soon with some more Yu-Gi-Oh content. Peace out. Bye.